Dear friends in Zoom and YouTube, today we have a very important event here. It is the beginning of a series of interactive conversations that we will have with writers from all over India and, if possible, from other countries also. Even the writers that we will invite here to converse with us are writers who have been through a lot of different kinds of challenges and traumas. We talk about the mainstream and also the people whom society does not allow to enter the mainstream easily. There are different communities, a lot of different categories of people. Maybe the majority of people in India fall outside the mainstream, fall outside the center. So it is very important that we talk to the majority, who is generally, we can use the term subaltern to denote them. You and I are also part of the subaltern. We don't belong to the powerful center most of the time. So it is very important that we talk about these issues. And the writers from the so-called subaltern are people who carry the major issues of India forward to the rest of the world and transform our country for the better, our society for the better. Very important uh, voice among the subaltern writers and among all of Indian writers today is that of Miss Santa Khurai, who is present here with us. We have uh, a book by Santa Khurai, ma'am. It is called The Yellow Sparrow. I'm sorry for the yeah, The Yellow Sparrow. This is a book that has reached the international news recently because of the powerful language and the powerful narrative that this book presents against gender violence and discrimination of all kinds, especially towards the LGBTIQA plus people and especially the transgender people. When we talk about the LGBTIQA plus activists and writers, as well as many other subaltern writers, including Dalit and Adivasi writers, etc., it is important to remember that their life is their story, their life is their writing, uh, life as text. This is a very important aspect of research and academics also. We have all heard of the dictum, the motto, personal is political. Subaltern writers and transgender writers like Ms. Sanda Khurai have taken the personal to the political level, where autobiography becomes history. To know more about this amazing writer, very powerful her writing is, as we'll see in the course of this conversation also. We have here with us one of our students, Maninder Singh, who is the person who introduced me to Ms. Khurai. I'm greatly thankful to Maninder. Maninder, can you please switch on your video and join us? And can you please go ahead and introduce Ms. Khurai and her writing to us? You are muted, Maninder. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Hello, Santa. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay. So before we start, when I shared this idea of inviting Santa for a Zoom meeting with Kalyani, ma'am, the support ma'am showed me like over the phone, and then even while organizing this meeting was just unmatchable, right? Before we start, I extend my warm welcome to you, Santa. Thank you so much for giving us your precious time, right? And now a little bit about Santa. So Santa Khurai, as we know, she is a Manipuri indigenous Nupi Manvi, obviously a term in Manipuri for transgender persons. So she's also a poet, and her published poems are My Father and Nupi Manvi Thabbal by HarperCollins, and another poem, Looming by Routledge. She's also filmed one documentary called Nava, Spirit of Ate, and it also bagged the Best Non-Fiction Award in the year 2019. So, Santa, you're very welcome with us, right? And I'm also very happy to see my very dear friend Jaspreeti here and others. So, yes, Santa, please start.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so
Thank
much. Thank you.
you. Yeah, thank you, Valat, for inviting me. It's a great honor for me to be a part of this conversation. Yeah, from here we can start. I mean, like, if there is any question to be asked to me, then, uh,
Yes.
the team can ask. Yeah.
Can I ask the first question? We are a
Yes.
group of students and teachers of English literature here mainly. We are greatly interested to know about your journey as a writer, obviously. When did you start writing? And obviously, we know why you started writing. You had to get it out into the world. But when did you actually think of writing this book? How was the process of publishing and translation, that process of speaking to the world through your books? Can you please tell us more about it to start with?
Yeah, writing is my passion, number one. And I started writing from a very early age. Like, there was a time that I was going through a lot of trauma because of my father' cruelty, and he was very much against my feminine side. And the only things that I can take out all those traumas and negative energy that was inside me was to writing down and pen it down. And also there during that time there was no one to, no one around me who were willing to listen to my story. So writing down makes me feels like relaxed. Writing down makes me feel free from all those oppression. So that is also one reason. And then for these memoirs, like, I there was a time that people have this culture of maintaining an autograph, uh, a small text, no, no, a small, notebook where you'll be putting your photographs, you'll be writing your hobbies and everything. And this notebook will be travel in every schools. And
Yes.
I also was in that culture, and then I am very much enthusiastic about maintaining my diary and then autograph and then sending it to my friends, and then requested them to write down their hobbies and, a lot of things. So that was the kind of, a hobby that I had during that time. And then there was this piles of diary. And later on, when I started joining activism officially and started mingling with other peoples, I realized, because there were a lot of challenges in my life, trial and tribulation, and my orders of life was quite difficult. It was not about my society rejection or my father's cruelty against me. It was also about my position in the larger queer movement, queer and trans movement. When I'm talking about the domestic level. And what I felt like is, even though I tried to address those issues, when I tried to address, speak out, the realities, that the ground realities of the Northeast, it was for me very difficult. And other people's, like from outside the state, were also found difficult to accommodate in their realities, or those realities. So
Yeah.
I thought of writing it down. Writing down helps me, like, it was really, really intolerable. So writing down some things helps me to kind of express the binality of
Yeah.
these realities. So it will stay as a historical account of many, people's living in the periphery across the nation. So
Yeah.
that's why.
Even though we know about your trials and tribulations from your book, the horrible atrocities that have been directed at you, you have written about them very powerfully. I'm sure there may
Mm.
also have been people who supported you and people who helped you to uh, get out there. You know, publishing with Routledge or HarperCollins is not a small thing. It's a dream of everybody here. So, can you tell us about with the people who inspired you and helped you, because they should be celebrated here as well as,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, there are couples of people who I really love them, who I really respect them, like Akhil Katyal, who approached me, and Suparna Banerjee from Kolkata, because there are people, and Dr. Ramki from South India, from Tamil Nadu, who is like my father figure in my life. He's the only person who always stood beside me. And the poems My Father Nupi Manvi Thabal was edited by Akhil Katyal, and I forgot the name of the other person. So they have edited those poems, and it was a part of an anthology called The Worlds That Belongs to Us, and Looming from Suparna Banerjee, definitely. So there are good peoples around me, and they really supported me, though we might be having a political indifferences, but they want to collect
Mhm.
all these poem, to make it to collage it, and then to get it published by some well-known publisher, because it's all about the movement. When
Yeah.
movement comes, it's I have seen these two things. One is transgender and queer as a movement, and transgender queer as a community. So when
Yes.
you look into this community, then there are indifferences, a lot of indifferences. When you look into the lens of a movement, a common movement, then there is that indifferences becomes a positive energy. It becomes
Yes.
a moment.
Yes.
So that's the two thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we would like to know more about the transgender movements that you work with, Amana, Sathi. I read about them. Uh, were you there from the beginning? How is the transgender movement across India? Are there differences from between North and South and Northeast? Can you give us an account of that?
Very different, very different. We must also talk about racism that's rampant within this movement, because it questions my identity. My indigeneity is an important marker in my transness, in my trans identity. It's my trans identity, Nupi Manbi identity, is a very tiny fragment of all those overall identity, because I come from a very conflicted region. I come from a very difficult location. I comes from a very highly militarized state. So my experience of gendered living is quite different when compared with other state of India. And when and Manipur is a culture where there is it's a trans tolerant society. So we at least have this opportunity to live with our family, to get 2 meals in a day, unlike what is happening in other state of the country, because we do not have beggars, we do not beg, and then we do not ask for money. People have their own independent earning. That makes a huge difference between these. So bringing in all these narratives together, while trying to bring all this narrative together, there were times that I found very difficult, because it's often overshadowed by the larger trans narratives. That's why I have decided to write this down and then get it published, because this is
Right.
the only way to convey the message to the larger audience. Otherwise, if you keep talking, and there were a lot of time that I found myself very difficult to position in this larger queer movement, in a transnational movement, because the location that I come from and the background that I belongs to, it makes a huge difference, and I hardly get chances to speak of about these realities. So this yellow sparrow is one medium that I that helps me to convey those messages to the larger audience.
Yes. So, as you said, we today in literary theory we talk about it as intersectionality. Not only in literary theory, it's a common word now.
Mm,
Our many identities together contribute
mm,
to our power or powerlessness, as the case
mm,
might be. And you have entered the literary world now. I'm sure there are challenges there also, not only in the society. And you've also been traveling across the world, outside to other countries, speaking, presenting your opinions on various issues. So, what is your position in the literary world now? I'm sure it is changing also. The challenges that you had at the beginning might have completely disappeared now that you are such a well-known writer. Can you please throw light on that? The world of
Yeah,
literature and your position in it.
I I kind of mm, I kind of feels like I'm on another level now because people invited me Santa Khurai not as a transgender activist. Now people have started inviting me in university, in big platform as an author. So that's the most happiest moment of my life, and I feel like it's great. There were times that I felt so lonely, and when I look back into those times, then I have mentioned earlier also, I was a very lonely person, and that's why many of my work is history has always been an integral part of my artwork, whether it is cinema, documentary, movie, writing, or everything, because like I was lost in finding myself for quite a long time. I
Mm.
was all alone. That's why that loneliness I wanted to reflect in different mediums, like the Unheard Voice, which was a documentary movie made in 2013. It was about transgender shaman.
Yeah.
Like those are the things. Now I feel like I'm at another level.
Yes. Uh, Ms. Kurai, many people here, there are some questions that people are sending me directly. Uh,
Okay.
if I do not know if it is too personal or sensitive, I don't want to ask you any questions, but can you please tell us a little more about your struggles in general, about your, because the people want to know, the people who are sending me questions, they want to know how far society is uh, torturing people from the margins, and so
Yeah,
your journey
like
to this level,
the journey was
personal
quite
journey.
difficult. I was into drug. I was an alcoholic. I was into drugs for 11 years, then switched to alcohol, like almost around, yeah, half of my life till date. I I lost so many things. So many things has had been deprived from me. My education, my liberty, my dignity. It's not about society. It's also the discriminatory law, the systematic discrimination that's there in the law, which comes from a cisgender heterosexual head. So because of that, I have been, uh, you know, I have been always a victim, a survivor. And the other thing is like, uh, apart from my trans identity, what I feel is my loneliness is or my unfitness. My unfitness. I have been always unfit. I unfit in the society, in the family, even within the community, because of my political ideology. It's completely very different. I'm very political. That's why it's very difficult to have a common conversation with other peoples, because the way I see trans, the way I see India, the way I see peoples, it's quite different. That's why I filed this blood donation. I challenge this permanent banning of blood donation by the transgender MSM sex worker, because it is very important, because it's a part of humanity. Because if I born as a human, yes, I'm a transgender person, people have mistreated me, ill-treated me for quite a long time, it doesn't mean that I have the rights to save the life of somebody. I
Yeah.
have the rights to donate my blood. There is nothing wrong in my blood. So
Yes.
that's very important for me, and everything I see, I look from a very critical point of view. That's why it's my challenge is quite huge, and that's the political stuff. And coming to the personal thing, um, I did not eat my meals for like around 10 years in our kitchen, because I had constant fight with my father. With it was my mother only who always supported me. My mother is my goddess. This is the reason why I always feel like women have are very supportive. Women are very supportive.
Yeah.
In many of my stories, there is always 2 3 women who supported me.
Yes.
So this is the things that these people really support. support me. And in college time also, I had quite a numbers of girlfriend, and they were really supportive. And because of them only, I was able to continue and completed my graduation. Otherwise, I will be very lonely again in the campus also. So women are very supportive. Women understand each other. When I looked into their face, when they look at my face, they can understand what I feel. This is how women communicate. That's the beauty of women.
That
So
because
that,
women are already the other in many ways.
yeah, women understand. Women can easily understand. And the more number of females you have in your family, then it helps minimizing your depression and anxiety. It's
Yes,
always.
yes. I was reading the book, and I came to that incident where somebody pointed a gun at you, they threatened you, and what you've said there, I don't care, I will retaliate. Those words
Yes.
really ring in my mind. There is so much grit, so much power with which you have resisted and you have survived. It's truly amazing. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes. And some people here are sending me messages asking, are there conflicts that you've faced within the queer community itself? Obviously, there must be, but yeah.
Yes, yes. Very much, very much. You see, like, I do not want to give an example, but racism, I always wanted to talk about racism that's taking place within the trans movement and also the trans community. You know, we all understand the political status of Manipur and the rest of the Northeast, how the political status, and how people from the mainland India looked upon the northeasterner people. So I, being a person who come from that location and also coming from a different political situation, and also my racial identity, it makes a huge difference. It makes a
Yeah.
huge difference. Language barrier, and I do not fit in this typical Indian appearance,
Hmm.
because the way how we educate, the educational system, how many of the Indian students got educated, through which book, through which curriculum, makes a huge difference. The ideas of India, how the history of India has been crafted, and in the Northeast is very much narrow linked with the rest of India. It's
Yes, yes.
99% is completely isolated, and we are very much close with Southeast Asia country. So that makes a huge difference. Even to my friends who are from mainland India, there are a lot of good peoples, but many of the peoples, they really don't understand, because it's not in the curriculum. It's now 67 years, 76 years of independence, but now only people have started talking about Northeast.
Yes,
So
yes.
you imagine the years, the long years, the prolonged years that many students and very academics and scholar, how they absorbed the knowledge through this
Yes,
education system.
yes.
So that makes a lot of difference. First, Northeasterner, a Manipuri, or second, a transgender person.
Hmm. As you said, education is one of the most important issues in a transgender community's survival, because they are expelled from the educational system sometimes. And the second issue is health. A lot of us audience, the people from the audience here, are working on health, humanities, and related issues. Um, is the government supportive of what are the government policies that you have found supportive of your transformation into a trans woman? And um
No, no,
is
I
there
will.
any? Yeah,
There is no government support. There is this transgender legislation which has a lot of flaws. It's like a token welfare for the community. It's just for the namesake. Everything is in paper. So far, there has been no development. They have this smile scheme introduced recently, and they also let me change the place because
yeah.
my battery is getting low. So there are transgender legislation in India, and also they have come off with new schemes, which is called Smile, and they also provide the Garima Graha, which is a shelter home, short stay home for the transgender people. But it's not working very well. It's not functioning. There is no budget, proper budget for the transgender welfare. So since 2014, after Supreme Court Nacha judgment, then comes Transgender Act 2019, then now Transgender Rule 2020. It's everything is in paper only. So like
Mhm.
recently, Chief Minister, no, the Prime Minister announced in one of a big meeting telling that transgender have got dignified life because of BJP government. But in reality, we get nothing. We actually get nothing. The only good things is like in this transgender rule 2020, uh, there are certain legal provision for the protection of the community, so that we use for advocacy purpose. And then these are the things. And also the Supreme Court Nasha judgment 2014 holds kind of progressive position. We still use that as advocacy tools with the stakeholders. Otherwise there has been nothing.
Oh, I know that the transgender community itself is very supportive of uh, the surgeries and also the psychological problems that people go through. I work closely with some transgender and queer communities here also. And uh, some questions are there about the psychological issues that transgender people face, and what are the measures that should be taken or that are being taken related to that, because they would need
Oh,
a lot of counseling, a lot of suicide,
yes.
murders.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Many of my sister, brother, trans brother and sister, they suicide, and then they started in Manipur. Particularly, they've started using drugs. They have started using, substance from a very early age because
Yeah.
of the trauma they are going through. So I feel like the government should come up with a very holistic program. It's not about mental health. We also have other health issues like HIV program has a huge fund, and they have to decentralize it now, because our health, our body is not only prone to HIV. We are prone to diabetes. We are prone to other heart disease. There are a lot
Yeah.
of things which people do not consider. Whenever if there is a health program, then it comes through a HIV program, which is very limited. We need support for the surgery, and for the surgery also we need mental health support. So there should be a government policy to provide mental health support. And providing mental health support doesn't mean that there will be some psychologists, clinical psychologists, and then psychiatrists, those regular clinical psychologists and psychiatrists. We do not require them. We need trans affirmative, gender affirmative
Yes.
psychiatrists and
Yes.
psychologists.
Who are
It's not
very
that.
limited in
Yeah,
number, I'm sure.
yeah, very limited, very limited. Because like you have been working with trans community. At least people will feel comfortable talking to you. They will feel free talking to you. But people like you is very rare. Okay, so again, the way this they are getting this knowledge about transgender, LGBTIQ community. There is one thing, the first term they use is sexual pervert in psychiatry's curriculum.
Yes.
So it has ingrained in their
Yes.
conscious,
Yes.
in their consciousness. And then whenever we go to take counseling, then the first thing is like they will be started asking. The way they looked at us is terrible. Sexual pervert.
I
So we
often
are.
feel that one of the biggest problem in our society all over the world is this perversion of heterosexuality and its
Yeah,
obsession with sex.
yeah.
You're so
And
right.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Who
yeah,
is the
yeah.
pervert here is the question.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So there need to be a lot of change. Starting from education system is something which I really wanted to ponder upon. I really wanted to focus, because everything comes out from there.
Yes.
And gender dysphoria, now we have been having a lot of conversation around this, the use of gender dysphoria. Then recently, WPAD has changed that gender dysphoria into, it has been replaced by new term like gender incongruence, which is more
Yeah.
trans friendly. So there are a lot of things that need to be changed, and it's there. So doctors and then these professionals, when they are also comes from a certain level of knowledge through their education, so it's there in their mind, and then when they deal with transgender peoples or LGBTIQ peoples, it reflected through what they have learned from their education.
Yes. Um, I'm also reflecting on the questions that I receive in the chat box, even though they're not directly talking to you. I'm also speaking for them. One of the most beautiful things that has happened because of the visibility of the transgender community and the queer community is that the concept of family is changing. You know, you are the ultimate person who has who has experienced both the extreme violence and rejection of the family, as well as the beauty of the family. I was reading that you have adopted a child, and
Yes.
yes, and when I work with the transgender community, they are like a family. Maybe they fight, maybe there are differences, but which family doesn't have the
Mm,
celebration, the togetherness, the unity, the mutual help? It's so beautiful to
mm,
see the community. So,
mm,
can you tell us more about and it's also very traumatic because you know that transgender people and people who believe in gender fluidity meet with a lot of atrocity in marriages. The concept of
mm.
heterosexuality is so traumatic for most people, in fact, even though we may
Yeah.
not realize it. Can you reflect on this concept of on this family thing, and can you tell us more about how it's working in the transgender community, how people are writing about it? Because we are moving out of stereotypes, and it's a very big thing, and it's also a very traumatic thing.
Yeah, like we are, the community itself is a family. In the
Yeah.
context of Manipur, this beauty parlor, we have this beauty parlor runs by transgender peoples, and when the young transgender peoples, they face discrimination at their home, they will run away from their home, and they started working in a senior a transgender runs parlor that they will be earning. And for example, uh, Imphal is a very comfortable hub for the both hills and valley transgender people. Okay, because of the conflict, we have lost the trust. The trust has been misplaced deeply. So people run away from Imphal. Earlier, these tribal peoples, the hill peoples, they used to come to the Imphal, stay with the Meitei transgender runs beauty parlor, and we used to stay together, and we support each other. And this is how our understanding of this is kind of a family. It's not a very organized family like heterosexual peoples, but actually it is a family because the capital that we have invested to each other, and also the way we are trying to bring up these children in order to make them enabled to stand on their own feet,
Hmm.
independent earning, teaching them how to start off a business. So these are beauty of transgender peoples, which I don't think heterosexual peoples have this kind of support system. So this is a
Oh,
family structure. And coming to me, my home is called Yaipakol. Because the meaning of Yaipakol meaning the house of progress.
house of.
I progress, prosperity, house of prosperity. Because here you will find a lot of freedom. There is no biases. My son have a lot of friend. Their friend visit, his friend visit me, and then they call me auntie. And also there is also two other, one boys and one girls is there. I'm looking after them. They come to my house, they eat two meals, then at night they will go back to their home and to sleep. That's all. So it's a very beautiful kind of support system that I've established. It's a kind of chosen family.
Yes.
I do not expect anything in return from them, but I love their smiles, the way they feel comfortable when they are with me, and the confidence they earn from me.
Beautiful. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Going back to literature, Aishwarya is asking you whether you have any favorite book that has inspired you. Aishwarya is saying that her own mind was opened to same-sex abuse and issues of the LGBTQ community when she read In the Dream House. She says our minds are so closed. That also wants me to ask you about the need for gender awareness programs and sensitization, because most of the time people are ignorant. Everybody in the society is not bad and homophobic. Many times they are ignorant. They are conditioned by the society to think in certain ways. I'm sure the children that you take care of and that any LGBTQ activist takes care of will grow up to be beautiful human beings. So
Yeah.
there is also the problem that our literature, transgender literature, etc., will be relegated as educational books. It is not mainstream literature. It is just for education. That is an ambiguity there. Whether it should be used for education, obviously it should be, but at the same time, we want it to be literature that everybody will read also. Um, Coming back to this awareness thing, even this, this public live that we are doing, I'm sure will create a lot of awareness among the general public who will listen to us. It is with that aim that we are organizing this program. Thank you so much for joining us here in the first edition of this series itself, because people need to talk to trans women and trans writers and LGBTQ people to understand how beautiful their life is, how meaningful their life is. Isn't it, ma'am? So please tell us more about your contributions to awareness campaigns and sensitization and the need to do it more.
Yeah, I've contributed a lot because personally, not through project work, not through fund-driven, activities. I I have been consistently doing this awareness and sensitizing with different stakeholder, and also with the neighbors, with the local peoples. Like for example, recently, it was in 2018 that I got that threat, and also I got attack from this moral policing gadget. What do you call it? Cultural cultural guardians. So they claim that transgender is not in Meitei culture. It's a recent phenomenon. And then these peoples, they had a very big meeting, state level meeting. And in one of the meeting, a lawyer who work in the Manipur High Court, he translated this progressive law, the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment, into a discriminatory law. Okay, then it also forced me, pressure me, kind of inspired me to do a research on gender plurality. And I did. I brought out a book. I published a book called Faida Gender at Periphery. So it helps me to uncover the gender plurality and multiplicity that was once existed in the erstwhile Manipuri society. So like awareness is something which I have been doing a lot. And uh, I use different mediums, like I make documentary movie, I write, and I'm a poet. And also, if there is a time, then if people asked me even the silliest question, if somebody asks me, I will reply in a very positive way. If somebody asks me, are you feeling very uncomfortable or angry when somebody calls you homo is a very derogatory term. Then I'll be replying to that person in a very polite manner. So this is how we are, well, I and also along with other peoples are doing desensitizing. And beauty parlor is one medium that sensitizes a lot of peoples, and also it gives a lot of visibility of Nupi Manpis in Manipur. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Another series of questions border on education and employment. As we already discussed, education is a big challenge for the trans community, and it's also the biggest need. And trans people are also finding it very difficult to get employment, and they do try their own businesses, and it's improving a lot, isn't it? Society is changing. How do you think we should change the educational system, and what are your thoughts on employment of trans people?
I strongly feels like transgender people should be provided reservation. Reservation is very important. It should be there should be horizontal reservation, and government should take off a very official, good official survey to find out the actual population of transgender peoples. Because
Mm.
without reservation, we cannot, we will not be able to stand at the same arena with the mainstream
Yeah.
peoples, because there is always this difference in terms of the level of knowledge.
Mhm.
Because the moment we came out as a girl, then everything starts from there. So we'll be facing bullied, we'll be facing sexual abuse, physical abuse, lot of abuses, and our life has been come from a very deprived environment. That's why our capacity, level of capacity, is quite different comparing with cisgender peoples. So if there is a reservation for transgender peoples, then we can compete ourselves. So the competition will confine within the trans community. That is one way that I looked into, to bring up transgender peoples into employment sector. And also education. About education, in university there should be at least one transgender study cell,
Yes.
trans and queer study cell, and it has to be chaired by transgender person.
Yes.
So this is one way I looked into. And talking about infrastructure, there should be gender neutral toilet, and it's something which is very critical to talk about. But we also need to start thinking about the freedom of dressing, freedom of uniform in
Yeah.
schools. Because uniform is one thing that many of our brother and
Yes.
sister drop out school at a very early age.
Yeah. 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 True.
Yeah.
True. So um, there are a lot of questions there in the chat box. I'm addressing the audience in Zoom. I am not asking individually every question because Miss Khurai has already touched upon many of the issues that you're asking me about. Many of them are appreciating you and me also for talking and letting them know the realities of the trans people and the struggles that you go through. And there, some of them are telling me their whole family is watching and they're feeling so much love towards you and the trans community. You need to know because they're sending me directly these messages. You will not see in the chat box. That's why I'm saying this. Yeah. So
Yeah.
almost 1 hour. Is there anybody who would like to talk to Santa Kurai ma'am? Maninder, would you like to ask her a few questions or speak something? You have, if you're saying you are a great inspiration, obviously, the power with which you have come out of it, the energy with which you have spoken to people about it, it is so amazing. I'm so proud that I was able to talk to you and
Thank you,
yes.
Kalyani. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So you must be tired. We have had a very fruitful conversation. Thank you very much, ma'am. We
Mm.
really look forward to more works from you. And some people in the chat box have also said we have ordered the book now and they're going to read
Oh,
it.
please read it. Read this book. It's quite sensational. At the same time, it's also traumatic. Go through the
Yes,
journey
yes.
of Santa Corai, the Yellow Sparrow.
And one thing I want to tell you all, dear friends, the first and foremost thing that we should do if we love and appreciate any subaltern writer is to buy their book.
Yes,
Make them
exactly,
bestsellers.
exactly.
They should
You'll
become
get the book in
bestsellers because
hand.
we buy. We should not
Yeah,
look for photocopies or PDF. We should buy the book. And we should have a whole library full of subaltern writings. That is what I think.
yes,
I buy
exactly.
these books and read them every time I can. It's so amazing, so inspiring. Thank you very
Yeah,
much once again.
yeah.
Wish you great years of readership and awards and recognition because you deserve it. Because the world
Yes,
needs you.
yes, Kalyani.
Thank you very much. Virtual
Thank you,
hug.
thank you. Yeah, yeah. Bye.
Bye.